Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to we're going to look at how you can use standard instrumental departures and standard terminal approach routes in a Cessna 172 using the Garmin G1000 system. So the airport we're currently located on is Bristol Airport, and we're gonna fly to a different airport which is really close by. It's called Gloucestershire, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So what we did is we created the plan by simply using the built-in flight simulator flight plan tool, which results in only 2 waypoints because they are not too far away from each other, only 37 miles as you can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the proc button to define the SID, and the SID, as already mentioned, stands for standard instrumental departure. So we need to select this option, select departure, and then press enter. Once we've done that, you can see that the departure is blinking, and the departure has multiple values in most cases depending on the runway which you select. So the most important thing is you first tune in to the ATIS from the airport to figure out, okay, what's the departure route. So let's do that. So we're gonna open the ATC and then tune in to the ATIS from Bristol.
Bristol Airport information, Mike 1000 Zulu. Wind 02 treated 20. Visibility 6 and
So
heavy rain.
it reads out the weather,
Condition, few clouds at 800
some
feet,
clouds
few clouds at 4,400 feet, few clouds at 11,300 feet.
at multiple layers as you can see.
6. Dew point 10. Altimeter 29 decimal 71. ILS runway 27 in use.
And as mentioned already here in the text, but also shown here, the departing and landing runway is runway 27. So we're gonna now tune into clearance because else we'll keep repeating everything. So runway 27 was already selected, right? If for some reason the incorrect runway is selected, you can always go to the option here and then use the scroll button to scroll to another runway. But in this case, right, Bristol has not many runways, so runway 27 is the only one. So we're gonna switch on the light because then it will be easier for you to hopefully see this button. So as mentioned, we're gonna set the departure route, and the departure route already is highlighted, and we can use the small knob, although it's hardly visible, to select the departure route. And what you need to keep in mind is that the departure route always contains some letters of the, let's say, waypoints which you're gonna visit, and in most cases it's the last waypoint, so the destination waypoint, which is the name of the departure route. So for example, if we select Bravo Alpha Delta India 1 X-ray, we can say select, and then using the buttons again, we need to move down and we need to press load. As soon as we did that, you can see that it has modified the flight plan because now it has inserted the departure Bravo Alpha Delta India 1 X-ray, and it has added some additional waypoints. So it added one user waypoint, one for Hotel Oscar November 60, and one for Bravo Alpha Delta India Mike. And here you can see in this case there are 4 letters which are referring to the last waypoint. So if we would use the VFR map and we would zoom in, then you would see that the user waypoint is the first waypoint, and then we should have the next one probably somewhere here. Let me zoom in a bit further. In some cases you see that the VFR map doesn't load all this stuff, so let me zoom out a bit further. Here we've got 160, which is an intersection. And then we've got Badim, and then we're en route to destination airport. In some cases you might have selected the incorrect one. There are different tools on the internet which you can use to find the SIDs. However, they are not available for all the airports, so keep that in mind. I will post a link to one of the sites which I regularly use to find the SIDs. For now we are happy with this SID. If we're not, then we can still change it by going to the departure again and then going to the one which we want to change. For example, if we want to go via BCN 1X, press enter, then need to press the activate button again and then hit the load option again. In this case what you see is that it makes a grand detour, right? We're flying now over the water and visiting several other waypoints, so the Delta 149 Tango, the Delta 149 Zero and the Delta 149 Juliet. And then we're making our route to Gloucestershire, which is also an option, right? So what you need to do is always prepare the flight and select the correct SID before, I would say, taking off. So that's for the departing route. So now let's look at the approach. And the approach, also known as the standard terminal approach routes, are predefined routes which are available at the larger airports. Not all airports do have stars, so keep that in mind. For example, the small ones don't have one. So again, we're going to press enter, and in this case it's selected ILS 27. Let's assume that ILS 27 is the active runway, right? It's recommended to pre-check that prior to the flight, and also I would say during the flight, so to make sure that it doesn't change. In most cases, if you're flying IFR, the HC will assign you an approach. So in this case what we can do is we can scroll to the list, and there you see the different approaches which are listed. So you've got the NDBs, the AirNavs and the ILS 27. So we're gonna select ILS 27. With the ILS there also comes a transition, and the transition is also the point which is being assigned to you by the ATC. Compared to the SID, where the waypoint was the last waypoint, in case of the transition it's the first waypoint. So in this case you can see that Delta 041 Juliet is also listed as a sequence here in the bottom part, and this bottom part shows you the route. And so we let's accept this one for now. I will show you how to change it later on. And then we can scroll to the list, and eventually it will give us some more information, and as last point it will have the runway. Keep in mind that you always need to select load, unless you're, I would say, in flight and you're configuring the star route. You can directly choose activate. In that case it will directly activate the star route. So we're gonna say enter here, and after that we see that the flight plan has been adjusted. So now we see that first we're gonna do the SID, then we're gonna do the en route, and then we're gonna do the approach. So in the VFR map it looks like this. So we're gonna fly, let's say, a little bit further, and then making a turn, and then going into the star route. And the star route, well, looks, this part looks a bit weird, but probably that's expected as far as I can see. And then it will finally, you will land at runway 27. So let's assume that this route isn't the one we're looking for. Then we can go to the procedure button, hit enter, and then use the small knob to change. For example, if we want to go via Delta 085 Juliet, can press enter. Then you will see that we're visiting different waypoints. So let's see what the result of that will be. Press enter. Just changed it and this one changes it from Delta 149 Oscar directly to Delta 085 Juliet, and then it will make a, I would say, smoother, say, transition. Although you can see that this I would say turn is a little bit, it's almost, I think it's 45 degrees or something. This could be a challenge if you're flying with large airliners, because they can't make that change. So keep that also in mind. Always have a look at this and then decide, okay, what's the best thing. There's of course always another way to would say fix this is by inserting another waypoint, for example one here or one of the intersections here, so that you can make a smooth turn. In this case I probably prefer the other one. So we're gonna change it back to Delta 041 Juliet. Then we're gonna select load and then press enter. So once you're airborne and you decide to take a shortcut, then you can always activate the procedure manually, the approach, and that can be done by pressing the proc button and then selecting activate approach. If we would do it now, then you will see that the active I would say the active part of the flight, right, the active lag, is transferred to the approach instead of the departure route. So keep that in mind. And after you've did that, you can't select, for example, there's no way to say, okay, hey, I want to select the SID anymore. So keep that in mind. So once you've did that, you're not stuck, but you can still fix it. But that's it. So in this video we discussed the SIDs and the stars and how to configure them in a Cessna 172 using a Garmin G1000 system. Hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you've got questions or comments, then please feel free to add them to the comment box below the video. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.